Welcome to the WealthGenius Podcast, brought to you by the Expand Wealth Real Estate Fund. Expand your wealth by investing in apartment buildings. Go to expandwealthfund.com to book your info session. The WealthGenius Podcast, strategies for multifamily real estate investing, mindset, community, success. The WealthGenius Podcast with your host, the godfather of real estate, Alfonso Cuadra, who has expansive experience in business and massive success as a real estate investor. The WealthGenius Podcast. Let's dive into today's episode.
Hello. What's going on?
What's going on?
Well, we're so excited to have you here. Thank you for coming. I always love to talk to new rock stars, up and coming rock stars in the real estate game. We've known each other since COVID. I think we had a conversation at some point.
That's right.
I think it was 2020.
Yeah.
Was it 2020?
Yeah, around there.
You had shorter hair.
Yeah.
And it was blonde, I think.
Might have been. I change my hair quite often.
So how did all this crazy thing get started? Like, how did you guys get, now you guys are in the game, speaking on stages. Like, how did it get started?
Sure. We started investing in real estate in November 2020. At that time, our money was kind of accounted for. So we were saving money for our wedding and for the new house we were going to move into. So we were saving money, but money was accounted for. And so we're bored during COVID. All right, let's get our brains going. Let's learn something. And I showed up with Melissa. I'm like, hey, do you want to learn a little bit about real estate? And she's like, all right, let's go.
So you were in right away.
Well, didn't have the same level of passion as Michelle.
Yeah.
But
what attracts you to real estate? Like, what was the thing that really it's interesting, or because you wanted to buy a house, so you understand the value of having real estate. I guess it's traditional, but more of a traditional value. It's like get a house, get a mortgage, and save up money for that. But what kind of intrigued you into the investing side of things?
that's where it got me. So Michelle lives and breathes real estate. She could talk about it all day long, and she just vibrates. It's just there. For myself, it's what it offers. It's that real estate is the vehicle that can give you the lifestyle that you want for yourself, that you can do for your parents, you can do for your family, your siblings, whatever your circle of love is. So that's where I find my passion, is finding out that with this vehicle, you can do so much more and you can give so much more.
Yes, I very much like my wife, she's not so passionate about the real estate, but she's passionate about the lifestyle that real estate can provide, right? So you knew about investing before, or what was kind of your experience before in investing?
We didn't have too much information about it. All we knew is that we had gotten our first place, and we've always heard that there's money to be made in real estate. You can't go wrong with real estate.
Yeah, that's Monopoly, right? We've all played Monopoly as a kid.
100%. And I had a friend who had owned a bunch of places, and he wasn't working a job. He was just owning houses. And I was like, whoa, that is pretty cool. And so I kind of was always checking in with him about that. And then from there, I was just like, whoa, this is...
Did you do some property management?
A little bit, yes. So not for him, but I got in contact with his buddy who lived in Los Angeles, and he needed someone on site to meet with students and...
like a caretaker kind of thing?
Not so much caretaker, but just kind of sign up the
new tenants.
Do the application
for
the tenants and stuff. So.
And what did you think? You're signing up these tenants, you're at this point, because property management is either it really brings you into the game, or you're like, no, I don't want to do this ever again.
Well, there's two things there. So this is really exciting, and then you're hiring students who don't live the same way as adults do, where they are just a little bit more messy and everything, but they they need shelter to just, go about their studies. And, this is their next point of their life. And, we just get to offer them a place to be. But essentially, being able to present the house to the students kind of got me thinking a little bit more about, okay, so this is how it works. But I realize right now I had no idea, no idea. And it was so much, property management is so much bigger than when someone asked me to do the applications, because so much.
Now you guys have, what's the name of the company?
Magnetic Ventures.
Magnetic. And where does that come from?
For us, it's about attracting the right people, attracting the right properties, the right time. And so, we were just looking about how, it's related to how we met. We really feel like we put ourselves out there with the universe and we attracted each other at the right time. And we wanted some of that to fall into our logo and fall into our values and even our slogan. So it's build wealth, pay it forward. And it's really about what we're trying to attract in our life and what can that bring to us and how we can keep recycling that and offering it to everyone around us who's willing to listen.
Now, there's a dynamic that happens when a couple starts investing together. Mm-hmm. There's either like one person's kind of like, well, it's your thing, or, okay, let's do this together, And the couples that work together, that's interesting, right? Mm-hmm. Because, I think it's the most powerful thing that could happen because you're bringing different skill sets and you're on the same team. It's sort of like, when you watch basketball, I don't know if you watch basketball and you see someone do an alley-oop, alley-oop, and you're like, how did he know the ball was going to be there? Mm-hmm. Well, because they play consistently all the time together. They trust one another, right?
Sense.
But what are some challenges in working with your spouse, your loved one?
Partner.
Like how does that dynamic work for you guys? Is it like awesome all the time, or
It's awesome all the time.
Yeah.
But no, not but. And it's awesome all the time. And boundaries. You need to. For myself, I found it was just a matter of expressing when I'm done, when I'm tapped out. I'll say, we've been working on this, rehearsing something, and I'll say, okay, I'm done now. I know you're still working, and I can see that you want to share something with me, but I'm just letting you know that I've reached my limit and I'm going to start shutting down my brain so I can head to bed or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Communication.
Yeah, because it's always around you. You can't leave it out the door. But and sometimes you just, okay, well, that's enough. We gotta recollect ourselves and just be like, okay, I'm not just working with anybody right now. I'm working with my wife. I'm working with my partner.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal. So
Different hats.
Different hats. And if you create different spaces in your home that are your sanctuary.
I love that.
So that you're not bringing your work everywhere in your home. And so if you're like, okay, if we're in our bedroom, very rarely will we talk about real estate, because then you're no longer, you're with your business partner, you're not with your partner. And, so that's a bit of our safe space, if you will. And just create, again, it goes back to boundaries. So I think just figuring those out and what works for you and communicating so that one is not disappointed with the other when you're just pulling away and not understanding why. So we could just say, I'm tapped out and there's nothing left for me today.
Also, I think, you need to check in with one another because sometimes the business needs more. And so you're like, okay, we need to check in. We need a little bit more. All right. So what are we doing together to make this happen? And sometimes it's a little bit less. So thing is just, again, communication and just being on the same level.
I love that. A lot of people, because people are working from home, there's kind of like this dynamic, right? People are working from home and let's figure out what we can do. And sometimes people figure out real estate. Like real estate is something that, maybe one spouse is more excited about it than the other. But I would want to assume that a lot of this is something that people could do together. A family could do this together. And, there's just not enough content or education or even some tips that people could, people that work together. And there's always like retreats for couples, work out your issues, but not couples that work together, because I think that's a whole other dynamic. I know when my wife and I started working together, she thought we were going to be together all the time, right? We're just going to have our desks right across from one another and just gaze into each other's eyes and walk through a doorway, but we can't. We have to, we are together. But it was not like that.
COVID days. Yeah. We sat across from each other.
Yeah, wow.
We realized.
How long did that last?
Emails out loud. And we did. We held hands across the desk for a little bit. And it was really sweet for about a week.
Yeah.
But it was cute to try on. And then you're like, okay.
It's a nice fantasy.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So
whoever thinks that it's always on for your relationship, no. Everyone needs their space.
What do you like about working together? What do you like about it?
Well, I think it's allowing us to grow within our communication skills. We're newlyweds. We started working together in real estate like soon after we got married. So
How soon?
How soon
Did you get
we
married?
get into real estate?
When did you get married?
So we got married about 2.5 years ago, October, and then it was that year that we got into real estate. Oh, it was just before. Actually, it was just before.
Yeah.
Really, but already living together. But soon after we moved in with each other, we're starting to learn more about real estate, and so I think it makes you become better communicators, and hopefully with that, there's that transferable skills that goes into your marriage. That if I can communicate to you about this with work, or that I need a boundary with real estate. So I was just saying earlier, I'm tapped out, this and this. Then I can say that again later on in our personal relationship, where I say I need to go for a walk. I need to work out before I say something that might upset you. Like there's transferable skills that could go from one another. So I think if you have a really solid foundation of that, it could help you could support your marriage, or if you have a really solid marriage, it could support you in your real estate business partner.
Yeah. Also, there's the portion about we met later on in life. So at this point, we feel like we've missed a lot of time together. And so now it's like, okay, well, we've always talked about making each other's dreams come true. So we've been writing a bucket list and stuff, and every now and again we get one thing knocked off the list, and just really trying to create this wonderful world that at one point we never thought that could be for us to live. And I'm tired of the scarcity mindset. I moved past that, still trying to get over that hump, but staying over that hump as well, right? So
not going back.
And so I think it's important. There's always work there. But man, mindset is huge.
Oh yeah.
So big.
I call them demons, right?
Yeah.
So when you're making a transition, a new change in your life, what happens is it's like the changing of the seasons. You're always going to get a little bit of winter in spring. You always have a little bit of spring in summer. You always have a little summer in fall, and you always have a little summer, a little fall in winter, right? And what happens is that the seasons kind of like blend into one another, right? So, but there's always going to be these demons of your past life that are going to blend into your new life, right? So you have friends and you have habits, and there's certain paradigms that you have that are very difficult to undo, right? You can't undo a whole lifetime of building these habits and your perception of life. And so what I always say is like, look, be aware of the demons. And when you're you talked about scarcity, right? When you find yourself, there you are, right? It's one of those demons. It's something from your past life creeping into your new life.
Where'd you come from?
Exactly. So that's the way I would see that. And you guys are definitely have transitioned. We spent time together in Belize. I mean, think about that. We were in Belize.
Oh, I know.
Just in April.
And
Never would I thought.
it's incredible. It's because of you I bought this bracelet for the people that are listening. Not everybody's able to watch. If you're not watching, go to YouTube. Go subscribe to the channel. But this is actually really interesting because I didn't notice those girls there, and so I went over there, and I'm never really too into trinkets and things. I have every kind of trinket. Like, what other trinket can I bring home from Belize, you know? But you said something very important. You're like, oh, some young entrepreneurs. And that changed my perspective. I'm like, oh no, I got to support, because you came in the restaurant, or I can't remember where we were. And you said, there's some young entrepreneurs out there, and, they love your support. And I'm like, oh, entrepreneurs? I got to support.
My words very carefully.
Yeah. And so, I bought this thing, which is really, really interesting. For the people that are listening, I have these bracelets, and they're kind of really in a unique, I put them like this without even knowing it. Yep. And this week I met this, one of my students, her name is Denise, and she has the same bracelets in the same color pattern that you see here. And then she's like, oh, do you follow these chakras and all these things? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is, and I can't remember I can't remember exactly what she said, but the color sequence of the beads and exactly, it's a thing.
Yep.
And anyways, the reason I share that with you, because you were responsible for it. You were responsible for me getting this last blue one, right? But we spent this time together in Belize, and now we're going to Greece.
Yes.
And we are blessed. We are 100%. blessed. And think about the abundance. Think about the leaps and bounds that you guys are taking every mastermind retreat. What do you like about these masterminds?
Well, so this was our first in Belize, which is April, and we had no idea where we were walking into.
You thought it was a vacation.
Well, I knew it wasn't going, but something I could write off. And so, I knew a little bit about Mastermind, but I didn't really look into it. I like to be spontaneous and just allow myself to be present and go with it. So I didn't take any time to really Google or really kind of get into it. So for myself, when we got there, I could see what you're doing. You're creating a vibe. You're creating a bond within, the attendees. And, it was like one day from the next, I could just feel it, the layers coming off.
Building.
So much so that when you asked for volunteers to do the mastermind, I was the first.
Nice.
Because I thought, I'm just going to do this. And it'll be my most authentic self, because I won't be listening to somebody else and then changing my mind or altering it because I'm, doing a slight pivot because I'm cued by this idea. I thought, I'm going to go first. It'll allow me to be authentic. I'm going to say what I wanted to say, which I felt like I needed to get off my chest. And you created that safe space for me to do that, and the mindset that it was okay,
It's if you ever see how the flower blooms, right? Mm-hmm. So it's usually covered by a hard shell, and it's like some of these shells are like pretty rock solid until this flower one day just blooms, and it's just like this beautiful flower. It's funny how nature works, Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I love that. You guys have definitely bloomed. You're in full expansion.
100%.
And what kind of deals are you looking at now? What's going on in your world right now? What kind of deals are you working on? What are you looking at? I want to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, right now we're building systems. We haven't found the right deal yet. We're looking, we're underwriting a lot. Underwriting was not something that came easy. And so, speaking with Adriana, she's like, keep underwriting. It's going to get easier. And, she's right. It gets easier, but, it's really building the processes that work for you. So that's been great.
If I may add,
yes.
However, I will say, like, we have a duplex, and when we started with real estate, before that was passive investing. However, I would say what's changed for us is we're no longer looking for duplexes and triplexes. We're underwriting units that have 24 units. We're looking at any 8+. That we don't entertain anything that has anything less than.
That's expansion.
And that's expansion. And so, and partners. So we've got 2 different sets of partners that we're looking or potentially buying properties with two different means. And so that alone, we're not doing it, these two partners, we're pairing up with another two and another two. So again,
So it's growing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And even, so here's something else. And I had a mastermind, and how do I move into the real estate space? And so it's happening sooner than we thought, which is going to be amazing. And it scares the hell out of me, but I know that this is the right step. And the thing is, just figuring out all the pieces and how to get there just makes it less scary.
So
let's put the date out there so everyone can hear. When are you retiring from the government?
Potentially, and no one knows.
Well,
yet.
the word potentially does not serve you.
Okay, so it's happening in January 2025.
It's good. That's good.
Yeah. So just putting together those plans so they are concrete. We can move forward and really, really start expanding even more from there.
Yeah.
But before, we wouldn't have even ever thought that would be possible. And now we're just like,
let's go. Let's
fall forward.
I love it. So when you're looking at these like deals, 24 units, for example, what's going through your mind? Like, because what a lot of people, the biggest challenge for a lot of people is the imposter syndrome. To overcome the imposter syndrome, how do you overcome the imposter syndrome?
Coaches.
Yes.
Coaching,
100%.
Education,
Yeah.
surrounding yourself with like-minded
Building that
individuals.
confidence. Yeah.
Yep. And so you still have a little bit of it, but you have all these cheerleaders around you telling you can, and they've done it themselves. And partnering, so perhaps partnering with somebody who has more experience gives you that bit of security that you want, and also they'll be there to guide you if you have all the questions, right? If you're partnering with someone who has so much more experience than you, who do you bring your questions to?
That's it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Plus, to start, sometimes you need to have an experienced partner with you. That's how deals are made, and that's how people have trust in you, because you are partnering with those that have experience. You can't have everything right away. You have to work towards it. So you got to do the hard work, but we're ready for it. And so, yeah, we're doing it. We're just so ready. Yeah.
What inspires you guys?
So nature inspires me. Love inspires me. Family inspires me. The thought of being more free and to explore with your family and your loved ones in nature, that's for me what gets me going.
Me, it's being able to give back even more. I just think that there's so much more for me to do here, and I find that where I'm working right now, I'm very limited, and there's so much that I want to give, and it's just I have to step into it, and but you have to create that space, and I think we have, and it's just a matter of time. It's happening.
I love it so much. So they're going to be able to get a hold of you. All your information will be in the show notes. So if they need to contact you, and if someone were to contact you, what would be the ideal person? Like, who are you looking to attract?
So we are looking for investors who want to get into real estate without getting into the nitty-gritty of owning or properties, right? So we're looking for people that we can educate them a little bit, for the new investors who want to get there, or for people who have money and they want to invest in real estate, and they don't want to be the active partners. They want to be the passive partners and create those additional streams of income that'll give them the time and money freedom that we all want in life.
I love it. I love it so much. So they'll find your information down below. This will live on the internets forever.
Beautiful.
And thank you for coming by. One last thing. What's a quote that you live by?
So I think of Amy Poehler. She says, brave women do things before they're ready. And that's what we're doing. We're brave women, and we're putting ourselves out there in the real estate world. you would always think you'd want to be more ready, but you got to just get out there and do it. And you're more ready than you think. But brave women get out there in the world before they're ready.
Love it.
Absolutely.
You have a quote?
It's not one that's meant for real estate.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll stay with this. We'll stay with this one.
Absolutely.
Listen, guys, thank you for coming by.
Thank you.
This was incredible. You know I love you guys, and Alfonso loves you, and we'll see you all at the top.
Thanks for listening to the Wealth Genius Podcast, presented in part by Expand Investor Conference, December 13th to 15th at Weston Harbor Castle, Toronto. Get your tickets now at wealthgenius.ai/expand. If you have a question or comment about something you heard today, reach out to the Godfather via social media or email him anytime. All that information is in the show notes. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Wealth Genius Podcast. The Wealth Genius Podcast. Until next time, see you at the top.